Dale Earnhardt, NASCAR. On February 18, 2001, Dale Earnhardt drove his black number 3 Chevrolet around Daytona International Speedway. The Daytona 500 was on its final lap. Earnhardt was just 49 years old and a 7-time NASCAR champion. He was known as the Intimidator for his aggressive driving style and his frequent crashes. His son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and teammate Michael Waltrip were running first and second, and Earnhardt was running third, but he wasn't really trying to win. He was blocking the cars behind him in order to protect his teammate. Sterling Marlin's car came up behind him in turn 4. That's where contact was made. Earnhardt's car got loose. The rear end slid sideways and he tried to correct the slide, but before he could do anything, Ken Schrader's car also made contact. The combined impact sent Earnhardt's car shooting towards the outside wall. He was traveling approximately 155 miles per hour and the car hit the concrete barrier head-on. This sudden deceleration caused a basilar skull fracture. The base of Earnhardt's skull separated from his spine and the injury was instantly fatal.
I guess he's all right, isn't he? You okay? You okay?
Safety crews reached the car quickly, but Earnhardt was completely unresponsive. He was extracted and transported to Halifax Medical Center in Daytona Beach. Dale Earnhardt was transferred to the hospital at 5:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. NASCAR has mandated the hands device for the neck and head restraint, which likely would have saved his life. 3 months later, NASCAR made it to the Undertaker, but the next day, a death revealed something darker about what happens when you make contact with the biggest and strongest American footballers and it doesn't go your way. Subscribe now and brace your heart because this story is heartbreaking. Jack Trice, American football.
Jack Trice played his first real college game. He was the first African-American athlete at ISU.
Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing 200 pounds was Jack Price, an American football player. Early in the game against Minnesota, he sustained a shoulder injury during a collision, but he kept playing. Then came the third quarter where Price attempted a block on an offensive play. He then landed on his back. Several Minnesota players trampled over him. 2 of these beasts crushed him and crushed down his internal organs and the cleats toward his abdomen and chest. The Price could not go up. His teammates helped him off the field. Then came the team doctors who examined him briefly on the sideline. They saw the shoulder injury but missed everything else that was happening inside his body. After the game, Trice was taken to a Minneapolis hospital for evaluation. The doctors cleared him to travel. They told him to rest. The team boarded the train back to Amish that evening. Price lay on a makeshift straw mattress in a railroad car. The train rocked and swayed through the night, but nobody realized that he was dying. Even Price himself didn't know what was happening. The overnight journey was rough. Price began having some trouble, particularly with his breathing. When the train arrived in Amish on Sunday at 1 a.m., he was immediately taken to Kemper's Hospital. His condition worsened throughout the day. Doctors discovered that his injuries were far more severe than just the one in the shoulder. His collarbone was broken and his abdomen and intestines were so severely damaged that surgery was way too dangerous to attempt. Internal bleeding was spreading throughout his body. On Monday afternoon, around 3 p.m., October 8, 1923, Jack Price died from internal bleeding. This dude was just 21 years old. Instant death at the scene is uncommon, but in the case of this young Georgian guy, fate had different plans in store. Nodar Kumaritashvili, luge.
It happened at the end of a practice run. The luger flew over the wall.
Nodar Kumaritashvili prepared for his final training run at the Whistler Sliding Center in British Columbia, Canada. The 2010 Winter Olympics opening ceremony was scheduled for that evening. Kumaritashvili was just 21 years old from the country of Georgia. He has competed in luge, which is one of the most dangerous sports in the Winter Olympics. Riders lie on their back and slide on a small sled on an icy path that can exceed speeds of 90 miles per hour. There is no braking, no steering wheel, just subtle body movements to guide the sled. The Whistler track was the fastest luge track ever built. It featured 16 turns and rocked 499 feet over a mile of ice. Multiple athletes had been tried in the past during training, and in the days before, several had expressed concerns. Olympics officials said that it was safe. At around 10:50 a.m., Kumaritashvili pushed off and began his run. His sled accelerated on the ice, turn after turn, and his speed increased with each section. By turn 16, he was already traveling at approximately 90 miles per hour. Coming out of turn 16, his sled lost stability. The runners caught an edge on the ice. The sled began to wobble. Kumaritashvili tried to correct it, but at those speeds, small movements can become amplified. The sled went left towards the outer wall of the track and struck an unpaved steam beam just beyond the outer wall of the track. The impact here was wild and brutal. Medical personnel rushed to the scene immediately, but Kumaritashvili had sustained massive blunt force to his head and torso. After pressing the number out of all, he died at the scene. So far, we've talked about sports where contact is limited, but the next sport is all about contact, and the story is brutal. So subscribe now if you're enjoying the video so far. Benny Kid Parrott, boxing. It happened on March 24, 1962, when Benny Parrott climbed into the ring in Madison Square Garden in New York. He was defending his welterweight title against Emil Griffith. This was their third fight already. Each man had won once, and the rivalry had turned bitter after Parrott called Griffith a derogatory slur at the weigh-in. The fight began with both men trading amazing punches. By round 12, Parrott was exhausted. Griffith, seeing an opportunity, trapped Parrott against the ropes in the neutral corner. There, he unleashed a rapid barrage of over 24 punches in mere seconds. Parrott's head snapped back and forth with each blow, and his arms dropped, his legs buckled, but the ropes still kept him upright. Griffith kept punching him. The referee finally stepped in and stopped the fight, and the world saw Parrott collapsing unconscious.
Alexander Schiff of the commission is trying to get at him.
He was carried from the ring on a stretcher, and an ambulance rushed into Roseville Hospital. Surgeons operated to relieve pressure, but the damage was way too severe. Benny Parrott never regained consciousness. He remained in a coma for 10 grueling days, and on April 3, 1962, he died from a massive brain hemorrhage. The fight was broadcast live on TV, and millions watched a man being beaten to death. The referee, Ruby Goldstein, was haunted by the incident for the rest of his life. He said that he hesitated to stop the fight because he didn't want to cause grief with the title. The hesitation killed Parrott. Philip Hughes. Cricket. For most people, cricket is known as one of the safest sports ever. This happened on November 25, 2014. Philip Hughes arrived at Sydney Cricket Ground for a domestic Sheffield Shield match. Hughes was 25 years old, a prodigy, and someone who was playing for South Australia against New South Wales. He was also a member of Australia's national team. The New South Wales bowler Sean Abbott began his run-up. He released the ball, and it was a bouncer that was designed to rise towards the batsman's chest and head area. Hughes read the delivery and decided to play a pull shot. He tried to hit the ball to the leg side, but he misjudged the bounce slightly. Instead of arriving at chest height where he expected it, the ball was slightly higher. The ball then struck the left side of Hughes's neck, just below his helmet, and it ruptured his artery. The spot there was unprotected. It was the base of the skull where the neck connects to the head. Hughes collapsed immediately, and the ball had struck him in what medical experts call a kill zone. Paramedics worked on Hughes at this scene, but his brain was already bleeding. He was transported to St. Vincent Hospital in nearby Darlinghurst. Surgeons operated to relieve pressure on his brain, but the bleeding would not stop. He died on November 27th, 2 days after being struck and 3 days before his 26th birthday. The cricketing world was devastated. Sean Abbott, the bowler who delivered the fatal ball, was also traumatized. Hughes's death led to the redesign of helmets with better neck protection, and today it doesn't happen. Hank Gathers, basketball. Cricket is one sport, but people don't expect players to die on the basketball court either. This one is from March 4, 1990. Hank Gathers jogged onto the court at Gersten Pavilion in LA. Gathers was just 23 years old and one of basketball's most dominant players already. The game, topped off by Loyola Marymount, played at a frantic pace. They ran constantly, fast breaks, full court pressure up and down. Gatherers thrived in this system. He scored, he rebounded, and dominated just like always. Early in the first half, teammate Terrell Lowry threw an alley-oop pass towards the basket. Gathers rose up and caught it. He threw down a powerful dunk. The crowd roared. Gathers landed and began jogging back on defense, but his legs gave out. He fell forward onto the court, and his body quickly went limp. Teammates thought he was joking at first. Gathers is sometimes crowned around, but this time was different. He was not moving at all. Coaches ran onto the court. Medical staff rushed over, but Gathers became unconscious. They began CPR immediately, and the paramedics arrived and took over. They were to revive him before transporting him to the Marina del Rey Hospital. He was pronounced dead less than an hour later. The cause here was hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. His heart muscle had grown abnormally thick. This condition restricted the blood flow and caused his death. The game was never finished. Gathers had collapsed during a game earlier that season. A doctor diagnosed the heart condition and prescribed medication, but the medication affected his performance, so he reduced the dosage against the medical advice. That decision killed him. Owen Hart, WWE. We all know that WWE is staged. The actual fighting sequences aren't real, they are performed. But even performance can turn deadly. Back in 1999, Owen Hart prepared for his entrance at the WWE Over the Edge pay-per-view event in Kansas City. He was 34 years old and performed the Blue Blazer, a superhero parody character. The entrance involved being harnessed and lifted 78 feet above the ring. The mechanism used a quick-release system designed to allow him to dramatically drop the final few feet when near the ring. While hanging high above the crowd, the quick release was triggered accidentally, so Hart plummeted 78 feet downward, and he struck the top rope and slipped into the ring. He was transported to Truman Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead from internal injuries and organ damage. The cost-cutting decision here killed Earnhardt because the quick-release mechanism was designed for sailboat rigging, not for human suspension. It requires only 6 pounds of pressure to trigger. Which of these moments affected you the most? Drop your comments down below and subscribe to the channel because we're about to uncover the most dangerous deaths in history.